Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Nervous Candle 0010 from the Am I Overreacting subreddit. And it says, he, male 20, took me, female 18, to a Jehovah's Witness meeting without telling me. We've been dating for like 2 months. He's really sweet and spoils me. However, I'm still irked and something feels off and I just can't let it go. Yesterday we hung out and when I brought it up again, he shut it down. He somehow makes me think it's nothing and changes the subject and I don't even notice it. I don't want to keep nagging him, but I'm still not satisfied. My friends say I overthink and ruin good things, but I can't let it go. I'm still upset it happened, but I don't know if I'm overdoing it. I promise you I'm not discriminating his religion. It's just weird. This whole thing is. Am I overreacting? I'm not confrontational. I just need advice. Edit. After reading everyone's comments, I will be updating after I speak to him. And obviously the situation is that he took her to a Jehovah's Witness meeting without telling OP beforehand. OP had some text from him that said, hey, you've been quiet all day. You haven't returned any of my calls. Is everything okay? OP said, sorry, I'm fine. Just needed a little time to think about last night. He replied, the meeting part. I thought you enjoyed it, babe. OP said, yeah, it was okay, I guess. I thought this surprise would maybe be something more casual like a dinner or a film. Not this, to be honest. He replied, it was a surprise though. A good one. I wanted to show you something really personal. Something that's important to me. I thought this is the part of getting to know each other thing. OP says, I get that, and I guess that makes sense, but I didn't even know you were Jehovah's, and you didn't even tell me until you took me there. I feel like you should have told me, you know? I thought you were Christian. OP says, I am. It's just a branch of it. I didn't mean to hide it. It just never came up naturally. I thought it'd be better if you saw it yourself instead of believing what people say about it. OP says, I don't know. I just feel caught off guard and I didn't know anyone. He said, yes, but you were amazing, honestly. Everyone noticed how warm and kind you are and they loved meeting you. OP replied saying, really? He said, I'm not joking, babe. They were all fond of you. OP says, thanks. I appreciated it. It's just I felt a little out of place, you know? He replied saying, that's because it's a new experience for you, and that's okay. OP said, maybe I was a little uncomfortable too. He said, you weren't uncomfortable. Really, you just didn't know, and now you do. And the night went great, wouldn't you agree? That's because it's experience for you, and that's okay. OP replied just saying, I guess so. He said, you could have left any time, but you didn't. And that's because you are open to understanding something new. And that says a lot about you, babe. OP says, I didn't see it that way, so thank you. He said, I'm proud of you for giving it a chance. Don't overthink it, please. OP said, thank you, and I won't. That whole conversation felt, well, the whole thing felt very manipulative to me. I mean, taking her somewhere without disclosure to begin with, not talking about his religion and just bringing it up in this way. And then the conversation itself where he just keeps reframing everything she says like her totally valid feelings, like she's uncomfortable, and he just changes it all to saying, oh no, you're being amazing and warm. She's uncomfortable and he turns it around and says, you weren't uncomfortable really. All the way through this, telling her what her own emotions were. And the don't overthink this is basically telling her, don't question this. Just go along with it until you're basically sucked into it. But the commenters say on this one, how does a person tell you that you weren't uncomfortable? What the fuck? How the fuck does he know? 68 Ideal replies that saying, you weren't uncomfortable reading this. You were just caught by surprise. Next Cross says, replying to that saying, you didn't hate it. You loved it, remember? Electric Cookie replies saying, you could have left at any time and you didn't. That makes you such a special and good person. Defiant Cod replies saying, how would you get home if she didn't drive? Blood says, that's really cool of him to let you know how you felt about it. Ruby Moon says, for real. What he actually did is one thing. But his reaction to her trying to have this conversation with him is even more telling to me. Straight cult shit, and I say this as someone who has Jehovah's Witness relatives. My Jehovah's Witness family members are genuinely some of the nicest people I know. But at the end of the day, it will always be us versus them in their eyes, and because the rest of my family would never be a part of their church. It's only so close they would ever actually be with us. I only mention this because OP needs to understand that he absolutely was not trying to do something nice for her. He brought her there for a reason. He absolutely had ulterior motives. A relationship with a Jehovah's Witness is not going to work unless you're willing to become a Jehovah's Witness. He wasn't trying to do something for you, OP. He wants you to convert for him. The buttering up and telling her how much everyone loved her and how amazing she did freaks me out and makes all of my alarm bells go off. Middle accountant says, you want to be a Jehovah's Witness, like long term with this guy. That's what's going to happen. Mira says there was some professional level gaslighting going on here. All Names says, you liked it, remember honey? And says that was creepy as hell. You weren't uncomfortable. Ick. Lyle says, yeah, telling someone they don't know their own feelings is pretty gross and cult-like. So is keeping it secret until there is an emotional attachment and then introducing it this way. Extremely manipulative. Stay away from people who do this. Alabama alum says, he keeps trying to do the Jedi mind trick with you. I was surprised. Wave hands. It was a good surprise. I felt you should have told me beforehand. Waves hands. It was better to not know beforehand than see it in person. I was uncomfortable. Waves hands. You were not uncomfortable. I felt out of place. Waves hands. You did not feel out of place. So OP, I find his dismissal of your feelings a bit concerning. It is not concerning. I guess it's fine. Comprehensive P says, as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, this is so crazy because I know they bombarded you all meeting you. He definitely took you to a meeting to try and convert you because Jehovah's Witness do not believe in relationships with worldly, non-witness people. Girl, run. Edit, any of my comments are just my experience growing up. I'm glad some of you had better ones. I'm sure area plays a huge part on this. To those with similar experiences, I'm sorry. It feels good to know I'm not the only one though. Here to Help Too says, that's the love bombing stage before they start reprogramming people through fog, fear, obligation, guilt. When Jehovah's Witnesses say, making your mind over, they're clearly talking about brainwashing. So OP comes in with an update and says, I spent so many hours reading everyone's advice here. Things finally made sense for me. We hung out yesterday and I just started asking him questions about his faith. He was pretty honest. Said he really sees a future with a girl who's also a Jehovah's Witness. And then I told him I have zero plans now or ever to get into his faith, practice it, or even learn about it. You could see his whole mood change then. He tried telling me with a bunch of what-if situations, but I just kept saying no. Anyways, I said, look, there's no future here. It's probably best we just end this. He agreed. It actually ended prematurely, and he was sweet about it. Then today, I get this message from him. And then OP continues before the message then, seriously thank you to everyone who commented. Your advice really woke me up. I honestly just needed someone a bit older and wiser to tell me my gut feeling about that first church meeting was valid, because none of my friends really got why I was so uncomfortable. The text message just says, I'm going to get this off my chest and then I'm done. I don't expect a reply. Actually, don't reply at all. You couldn't commit to anything real, always chasing whatever felt good for a second in this world. That's why you'll always be stuck looking for something more, but never finding it where it matters, in the light, in faith. I actually tried to fool myself about you, tried to make myself believe we could work, even though my gut was screaming no. It's almost 3 months. I've sinned and done things I'm not proud of. You brought the worst out of me. You made me want to forget it all, made me do stupid things just to get a feeling that disappeared anyway. I'm disgusted with myself, and I'm only realizing that now. I'm glad it's over so I can focus on myself and my faith. You're just unsavable. Too far gone into everything that doesn't matter. There's no getting through that, no changing you. I'm glad we ended this. It's better this way. All the best with whatever you're looking for. OP simply replied saying, okay, and good luck with whatever you're battling because you really need it. Enderena says, I love the part where he blames you for him sinning. Very nice of him to encapsulate one of the things you had to look forward to if you stayed with him. Congratulations. I'm glad you dodged this bullet. Opie says, I really wanted to call him out for that because every time he was the one initiating it, and honestly, it was a mutual thing. Somehow, it's all my fault now. Crazy Raspberry says, they never take accountability for their own actions. It's always someone else's fault or the devil's. Little Kitty says, your response is perfect. Opie replied saying thank you. I was actually going to write, that's really hurtful, lol, but I'm glad I didn't. I just want to move on. Don't Be Evil says, that's good because the way he took all responsibility from himself and passed it on to you was manipulation or even just a lack of responsibility, and then manipulation tactics to make you feel bad, like he could save you, etc. He doesn't realize it's not for him either, but maybe down the road he'll realize. It takes a while for a lot of J-dubs to fix the brainwash. Bluebird Ocean says, holy crap. Pun only partially unintended. What a tool this guy is. He couldn't gaslight you, so he has to try to make his failure your fault. You also gotta love nice guys like this who are so cowardly. They won't say anything negative to your face, but instead will wait until they're alone with their phone, squatting in the dark like the trolls they are, to spew their bullshit. I'm so glad you're away from this guy. You deserve and can do so much better. Opie says, I'm so shocked at the switch up. Never saw this side of him. Anyways, I'm glad it's over. I see him for what he is now. Yeah, absolutely with the comments on this as well. It just looks like a whole bunch of manipulation in there as well. And especially at the end when he was trying to twist it again around on the OP. Absolutely better off out of it, and OP's reply was top class. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Our next story is from Nesta Prime from the Entitled People subreddit. Oh, we haven't been here in a while. It says former partner who quit halfway now wants a share of the profits because they had the idea too. Cheeky bastard. A while back, I started a company with someone I considered a friend. We agreed to work and invest together. But halfway through, they completely backed out. No money, no effort, no input at all. I decided to push on alone almost 3 years and eventually managed to stabilize the company after years of hard work. Now that things are finally doing well, this person suddenly reached out demanding a share of the profits, saying, "Give me my money." Their reasoning? They claim they shared the idea too, and have something to do with my success. It's frustrating because they weren't there during the struggle, didn't invest a single coin, and now expects a payout just because the business idea once came up in conversation. Some people really do vanish when it's time to build, then show up when it's time to collect. A commenter says to the OP, any contractual agreement between the two of you? Did they own any shares in the business? If not, then they have as much claim to the fruits of you spending 3 years turning an idea into a success as I do. OP says there are no contractual agreements, nor do they own any shares. Commenter says, write a more detailed summary of what you know about their involvement, including dates and a rough timeline. If you have their emails or correspondence to include, all the better. Cover yourself, then block and ignore. OP says nothing was on mail or digital or paperwork. All of it was done verbally as friends who wanted to start something. OP ad says, no, not even on call or WhatsApp chats. Commenter says you built a business over 3 years. You say partner quit halfway. But then comments say that they were never part of the business, never invested time or money, just discussed a business idea one time. OP says halfway the planning stage of starting the business. We shared the idea, but he doubted it halfway and pulled out. I made the pitch to potential clients and also invested in it, but they didn't. Commenter says, OP, if you care at all about your company / it's worth anything to you, do yourself a favor and take the time / money to consult an actual lawyer who has all the facts. On its face, your case seems pretty clear cut, but I already see a potential avenue where your former business partner might try to claim something, aka if you used any of his derivative work, there is a tiny crack that they might be able to worm their way in. I'm not a lawyer, but years ago, I preventatively consulted my startup lawyer when my former business partner departed on good terms. Be careful, OP. OP says thank you. I never used this derivative of work. Took what we talked about and modified it and executed it. It is not even the original one. Commenter says, please tell me your business. I hope it is as common as fast food restaurants or roofing companies. I want to know how original is the business idea. Opie says it is nowhere near that. It is a cybersecurity and data recovery firm. Commenter says, just say you're absolutely right. You absolutely deserve a share based on the amount of investment you made early on. Why don't you bring the receipts that demonstrate how much you invested in this company, and we will work it out. Opie says I might need a restraining order and desist from a lawyer to avoid any violent behavior after this. Commenter says it may be worthwhile to consult with a lawyer for actual advice that follows your local or state laws. Opie says there may be a twist of events that may require the law involvement. Ooh. The next day, a commenter said to OP, as others have said, consult with a lawyer, but it doesn't sound like you have anything to worry about. What a piece of shit. OP said, already did the first thing. Meetup is in 3 hours time. So it was 6 days after the original post. OP came back in with an update and said, so a while ago I posted about a former partner who backed out halfway through building of the company, contributed nothing and later came back demanding a share of the profits just because they said they had the idea too. After reading through the comments and taking some solid advice, I decided to consult a lawyer. Long story short, it turned out to be the best decision. The lawyer reviewed everything and confirmed there was no legal or financial basis for their claim since there was zero evidence of investment beyond that initial conversation about the idea. A restraining order was issued to prevent them from coming within 200 meters of the company premises, and I was advised not to pay them a single cent. Legally, they had no standing, just entitlement. It's unfortunate how some people feel ownership over your success when they weren't there for the grind. But this experience taught me a lot about documenting everything and keeping business separate from friendship. Thank you for your input and advice. And then a couple more comments after that. Someone said congrats. Sadly, it'll probably be the first of many attempts as you get bigger and more financially solvent. Good luck and keep pushing. Opie says I'm sure some more will come up, but anything I do from now on should have something that is legally binding outlining the scopes. Someone says, can you go into more detail about the restraining order? I know for sure it takes a hell of a lot more than a few spoken sentences from a person saying they deserve something. There has to be more to their actions than what you described here or in your previous post. Opie says there were threats of attacking the business. Commenter says, did you get a reaction from that person at all when the restraining order was given to them? I'm curious what they would say, going from I'm getting an easy payday to I'm legally not allowed to even go near the business. Opie says he was present to sign saying I betrayed him by forwarding a minor issue. So all's well that ends well, I think, in this situation. There was one of the comments that did make me chuckle, and a couple other people were talking about it as well, when he said he never used a derivative of his work, but then he just says took what we talked about and modified it and executed it. I was kind of like, hold on a sec. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story. Now our next one is just one that was from the Am I Overreacting subreddit from Still Passion 1558. Get this title. Am I overreacting for being upset that my fiance joked about cancelling our wedding to test my reaction? Oh fuck, I just said the name as well. I, 28 female, am engaged to, you guessed it, Mark, 30 male. We've been together for 5 years and engaged for 7 months. The wedding planning has been stressful, but mostly exciting. Last night we were hanging out with 2 of his friends. Out of nowhere, he said, you know, I've been thinking maybe we should call off the wedding. We're too young for this commitment anyway. Everyone laughed, assuming it was a joke. I tried to play along, but my stomach dropped. Later, when we were done, I asked if he meant it. He smirked and said, I just wanted to see how you'd react. I told him that wasn't funny, that it felt cruel, especially because I've been working so hard to make this day special for both of us. He rolled his eyes and said I'm too sensitive and that I can't take a joke. I ended up crying in the bathroom. I apologized later, but it was half-hearted, something like, sorry you got upset, I was just joking. Now I can't stop replaying it. Why would someone who loves me test me like that? Am I overreacting for still feeling hurt and distant the next day? Am I overreacting? I was just like, what was the fucking reaction he was looking for in this situation? To do this in front of his friends, to humiliate her in front of the friends, is wild. Someone who loves you doesn't test your reaction like that for his own entertainment. And it's the following up afterwards with the non-apologies. I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, he had a chance to make it right, but he's choosing to double down instead. In some ways for me, it's this kind of thing that makes it 10 times worse. But Original COD says, sorry you got upset isn't an apology. Your boyfriend sounds like a jackass. What he did to you was really shitty and not in any way funny. Professional says, no, not overreacting. These are things that will come up again in your marriage. If you can get him to be vulnerable, it would be good to understand what is underneath it. Is he having second thoughts? Did he want to hurt your feelings for some reason? Was he triggered by something else? He's the only one who can answer the why, and I hope he will think about it and give you some supportive information. Puka says, don't marry people who hurt you for their own amusement. And one more comment from A1 Sourced who says, not overreacting for being upset or bothered by such a joke. I'd make it real clear that category of joking isn't okay. You don't find it funny, just hurtful. Make sure he understands that testing your reaction to wild stuff isn't okay. There's no reason to tell someone shocking/hurtful stuff just to see how they react. Now the fact that there were other people there and everyone seems to have understood by the way he said it that it was in fact a joke definitely mitigates how much anger at him I think is deserved. That makes it seem like less of a prank or test and more of a bad/inappropriate joke. But obviously I wasn't there and only have a brief overview of what happened. But him legitimately trying to trick you into thinking he was serious is far more messed up than him making an obvious joke that was just in bad taste, if that makes sense. And I'm not really sure which of those better describes what happened here. But one is twisted and kinda mean-spirited, and the other is just clumsy and not well thought through. And there was a couple of sprinkled in comments there saying that it was just a joke. But what do you guys make of this situation? How does that make you feel? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.